Yes, it was. Start again. Welcome to the next episode of Unbuttoned. We've got Paula. Hello, Paula.
Hi, Felix. How are you?
Look, you know my name's Andrew, right?
Yes. Well, we're going to start again then. Let's go.
A lot of people are like, do I call you Felix or Andrew? It's the curse of having a last name as a first name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So your last name's Felix?
Yeah, my last name is Felix.
So it's Andrew Felix?
Yeah.
I love Felix.
It's actually Andrew Johannes Felix.
Nice.
But you can call me Your Highness.
Ooh. Does your partner call you that too?
No, she calls me something else.
Mentally or just she will tell?
Yeah, she'll yeah.
It's love, regardless what you think.
Oh no,
love.
It is a love. It is a love name.
lovely.
Yeah. 100%. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Paula.
A little bit about myself. Okay, so the main one is I am a mum of 2. I have a boy, Enrique, who is 10, and a Laura, who is 6.
Yeah.
I am. This always gets me into trouble because the other day I was at a photo shoot and they were like, Paula, what do you do? Like, tell us who you are and what do you do? And I was like, I do so many things.
Yeah.
So in the end, I'm just like, I'm a creative because I feel like I am that person when somebody says, I need to do this and I need to put this together and I don't have this. And I'm that person that figures out a way of how to put that all together, whether you're needing models, photographers, videographers, an event space, like, but funny enough, I actually started off as a graphic designer.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm a graphic designer, qualified graphic designer.
By trade.
Yeah. So pre-kids, that's what I did.
How long were you doing that for?
I'd say all up, I would have been a graphic designer for about 14 years.
Okay.
I initially, in high school, wanted to be a photographer. And this is when you and I were talking about people are going to start seeing our age because at that...
We're in our 20s.
We're in our 20s. At that time, art wasn't seen as something that you could have a job in. So me going home and telling my parents I wanted to be a photographer, my dad, it was like a no. My mum was more of like, it doesn't matter what you are or what you choose to do, I'll support you. Even if you want to be a Coles checkout chick. She's like, if that makes you happy, you do it. But at that time, I had done work experience at a photography studio. And it was like this little photo studio in Brunswick. It was owned by like 2 Italian men. And they were like, Paul, are you sure you want to be a photographer? Because like we only get busy during wedding season or portraits. So back then there was no social media. You know, we had the dial-up internet, branding and things like that. You know, marketing wasn't a big thing.
I remember my mum organising like a family photo shoot at like a photo shoot studio, like when we were younger. Like I was in my teens, at like one of a shopping centre or something, and
yeah, the shopping centres had them.
Shopping centres, still like they still have them. Yeah.
So the actual owner said to me, do you want to be a photographer? I said, yeah, I really like it. You know, I do well in that class. I sucked at maths in high school. So for me, it's just like I wanted to go into more like arty kind of.
Creative stuff.
Yeah, creative stuff. But he was like, you know, yeah, we don't get busy, Paula. There's really no money in it. But, you know, today my daughter's coming and she's a graphic designer. You can sit with her. So that afternoon I sat with her and she showed me how she, you know, merged photos with colors and typography. And then I was like, this is my ticket. Like, this is how I'm going to win my dad over, for one. And this is how I'm going to be okay saying, like, I'm a graphic designer.
This is how I'm going to win my dad
yeah,
over.
My dad.
Was it him you had to win over or your mum?
My mum was okay. Like I said, like my mum's always been very supportive.
That's right. Yeah.
But my dad, Yeah, my dad was kind of like, I think it's the mentality. So my parents left their country at 21
Mm.
and they came here not knowing the language or anything like that. So
Mm.
for them, security is what's mostly important. I think
Yeah.
for my dad,
Yeah.
that's what that was. So I think
That's a generational thing,
exactly,
I think,
exactly.
because I guess it's all kind of like driven from like the war.
Exactly.
You know, when people came back from the war,
Yeah.
like it was hard to find a job. So then you kind of like stuck at stable stuff
Exactly. Like
because then there's longevity
Yeah.
and you know, consistency.
So my dad was actually, well, is actually a fitter and turner, like civil engineer.
Oh wow,
So
okay.
he wanted me to do that job.
Yeah. You didn't want to get your hands dirty?
You know, it just wasn't for me for some reason.
No,
Yeah,
no,
like
me neither.
I like nails and stuff.
Yeah. Although, like, I did electrical engineering after spending some time with my dad, like when I was 18, and yeah, I just kind of like I was really good at maths.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, not so
Yeah.
great at English,
Yeah.
even though I can talk really well. Really good at maths, and yeah, like I thought that I was gonna be, you know, kind of like him, and then kind of didn't turn out, and I was like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I did lots of different other jobs, and yeah,
So I think like trying to figure out what you wanted to do, I feel like it's still so heavy to get like an 18-year-old to figure out what they have to do for the rest of their life. So
Mm.
at that time I was just like, okay, I'll become a graphic designer. What's that? Like 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did study.
RMIT.
No, it was at VUT
Okay.
in St. Albans.
Yeah.
So I studied there. And then my first job was designing shoes for Target, Kmart, and most of the retailers here. So I was designing shoes for them.
That's kind of cool to have on your CV. You're like designing shoes.
Yeah, and it'd be so cool because like I used to go into the shops and see like thongs that I had designed, and even seeing it in the catalogs
Yeah.
was really, really cool. But it was a heavy kind of first junior job
Yeah.
because I think back then there was a lot of things that you know certain jobs would let go, whereas in like now certain behaviors wouldn't be okay. But I
Mm.
grew up in like I saw a lot of that kind of environment. But it was nice because it was literally like my first good job. So it allowed me to get like a good car,
Mm.
to be able like to see my things in stores as well here and in New Zealand because I think we did farmers as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, I did that, and then I left that job. I went into another job where I designed baby socks. I did that, and again, all Australian retailers. And that job actually allowed me to travel, so I was able to go to like Sydney and New Zealand and just check all the stores.
Mm. That's really interesting. Like from doing graphic design and then specifically like clothing items.
Yeah.
Like you
It's a massive branch.
often forget
Yeah.
about the fact that you do need, you know, like a higher level of skill to be able to like do that type of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know how I did it sometimes. Like I think creativity regardless is something that you have to have in you. Like even being in class a lot of the time, like it's like painting, you know, like some people have it and they paint amazingly and they paint with ease. Whereas you can teach it, but it will never be what it is with that person that just has it so effortlessly, you know? So I think with me, I kind of always had an eye for detail, and I knew how things would kind of look visually before maybe me drawing it. And then I don't think my life kind of, during that time of doing design, I also had like a side little business where I was making cakes. So I used to make, yeah, I'm telling you, I do it all.
Let's go a different route. Is there anything you didn't do?
What did I I do?
No. So you did cakes as
Yeah,
a
so
side
as a
business.
side business, I feel like I've always had the entrepreneurial kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Even when I was little, I remember making these little Easter boxes and trying to sell them to like my family and
Yeah.
stuff. And always making things that I could then sell. So during my graphic design days, I took up baking, and I used to make like wedding cakes, any kind of cakes, but a lot for kids that I
Mm.
liked. And then I went into another job which was the sock one. And then it wasn't until I had my son, I was on mat leave, and they called me from my previous job, and they were like, Paula, we want you to come back earlier if you can and be the design manager.
Mm.
So, and then I was like, what the hell? Like, I'm on mat leave. How is this possible right now? And I think as a graphic designer, you feel like that's as high as you can get. And being a mum, first time mum, I did feel like I was kind of struggling between like becoming a mum and letting go of my old life. Because my old life, I nailed it. I had it down pat. I knew how to do certain things. Whereas in being a mum was like everything was new. You had to, and not only new, but people expected you to know how to do these things, you know? So
there is a level of expectation, I guess, once you become a mum, and you would get advice either wanted or unsolicited from absolutely
oh, yeah,
everybody about the way that you would do things.
100%.
And I often think like no one really knows, and like at the end of the day, every kid is different.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Every kid is different. Like you just have to like work stuff out that you're happy with, you know, and like
I think at the end of the day, that's what but I think when it's your first one, there's just so much pressure. Once you have your second, you're like, that one's just going to roll with whatever we got going with the first one, you know? So,
because you've already got one.
because I've already,
You've got an older sibling. You can just get the hand-me-downs.
the first one didn't die. We kept rolling with it. So we're going to be all right with
The first one's still breathing. We must have done something right. There's another one.
I know. But, yeah, so it wasn't until I had my son that I decided to go back. My ex at the time, he decided to be the stay-at-home dad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he stayed at home with my son. I went back to work.
So talk me through, like, that's a huge kind of sacrifice, but also like a change in approach, right? So going through and making the decision that like he was going to be the stay-at-home dad and you were going to be the primary breadwinner. Is it because you like your workplace had contacted you when you were on maternity leave and said, hey, we want you to be the design manager?
Yeah.
Like
I remember like getting that phone call, and I was like I can't describe like where I was at that time on, you know, being a mom, first time mom. I had really hard days. I had days where it would be like I'd go for 3-hour walks with my son just to make sure that he slept when he needed to sleep. And it's the constant, like, I don't know if I can swear on this, but like it's the head fuckery of it, really. It's the constant
oh my God, she's
it's all the doubt. And it's a lot of things that I hadn't experienced for a really long time.
Yeah.
So I think when I got the phone call, it was like, they want me back. They loved me. And I did so amazing. And, you know, when you're at home, there's nobody to pat your back to tell you you're doing a great job. You know, there's nobody to say you did amazing today. And like, you know, the only result you have is seeing your child and knowing that they're doing well, that they're eating well, that they're growing good. You know, that's a little pat on your back. But you know, we grew up.
But they're not the ones saying that. That your kid isn't the one going, thanks, mum, for like looking after me and feeding me and putting me to bed, or like, you know, putting clothes on me.
Yeah.
They're like, I want more food.
I want more food.
Crying.
My son actually wasn't. I went back to work after, I'd say he was like 6-7 months. So there was the sense of, you know, guilt, massive guilt, every morning when I'd leave and go to work. But I think, like, you know, at that stage, I had really good communication with my ex, and we were able to have those discussions. He's like, when are you going to have this job again? When are you going to have this opportunity? You've worked really hard, you know, like, and he's actually a sibling of 9. So
Oh, wow.
he always grew up with like family and kids, and so the doubt of him, you know, there was no doubt that he was going to kill it. I knew he was going to be a great stay-at-home dad. He was very hands-on, changed nappies, did bottles, did all that. So, and at the time, he didn't have the best job. So he was like, they're going to offer you a good pay, they're going to offer you travel. And I was like, yeah, but it's really demanding. Like, my job would start at 7. I wouldn't come home till like 8 at night. And it was
Wow.
deadlines. It was deadlines. It was, you know, because, yeah, I had a team of 4.
That's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. Yeah. I loved it, but it was a lot of pressure. And so by the time I came home, I was exhausted. I saw my son for a little bit, but it was already, I'd bath him and put him to bed. And like, yeah, I missed out on his like first steps. My ex would send me photos or videos of him going, look what he's doing. And he's like, you know, he's walking. But, you know, I feel like, you know, we grow up with this idea of how life is supposed to be or how family life is supposed to be. And I think, like, if you can help your family be the best that they can, whether that's the mum or the dad, we're all striving. We're all going to help each other, you know. And I think it doesn't matter how it's done. I knew that my son was going to have this incredible bond with, you know, his dad, and how nice to say that my dad was the one that stayed with me at home. And he was great. I'd get home, my ex had like dinner set and everything. So he was really, really good. But he went through the things that women go through. Like, you don't talk to me enough. You know, we don't spend quality time. You know, like, you could ask me how my day went. And so, like, I'd have to be conscious of that when I got home. Like, how was your day, babe? What did you get up to?
It's a completely different, like, a role reversal.
Yeah, but it's just, it goes to show that it happens to both. You know, like
100%.
And I think it'd be nicer if a lot of men experience that, because, you know, sometimes it's seen for the woman to be needy and, oh, you just nag us all the time. But it's the attention, you know. We crave that attention. We crave the acknowledgement of knowing how much you've done today, and you know that we're both working.
Yeah.
So.
And it's I like what you said there. You're both working. You're both contributing to an overall, like, family unit.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just one's getting paid and one's not there.
Yeah.
The other one's not getting paid and
Exactly.
the person is there.
Exactly.
You know?
So yeah, and then once I did the design manager role for a while, I realized the buzz had gone. I think I had been there for 3 years of doing that role, and then I was like, I'm kind of done now. Like, what's the next step? What do I want to do? And then I told my ex-partner, like, I think it's good that maybe you go back to work now. I want to stay home. My son was going to start school, and I didn't want to miss that. I wanted to be the one to take him to school and pick him up. And then during that time, after the cake business did all right, but I think going back to work, it was just so much. There was no way I could come home, bake, and so I stopped doing the cakes. But once I became a stay-at-home mom, I don't know what happens, but I think my creative part couldn't leave. It was a constant coming up with these random ideas I had constantly at home. Like, while I'd be cleaning, I'm like, why don't I start a cleaning business? Or, you know, or I'd be like cleaning, and then I'd be like, how come there's no nannies? Like, maybe nannies need to, you know, or like, it was literally like an Uber where you could ring somebody to bring you nappies and all that. Because there was so many stay-at-home mums that didn't have family, didn't have close by relatives. And what happens if they get there and they run out of formula? They'd have to put the newborn into the car, get to the shops, you know. And I was like, why isn't there a service where, you know, there's like a nanny van and the nanny van can like drive around to whoever and just drop off nappies, formula,
mm.
meds, you know?
It sounds like you always had that entrepreneurial mind,
Yeah.
and whenever there was an opportunity that you saw, like to fill a need, you came up with that idea.
Yeah, I think there was for a really
Mm.
long time, like just a constant thought process.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have one, and I think one's enough for me.
Older or younger?
No, she's 6 years younger.
She's 6,
Yeah,
so
my
you're the
sis-
oldest.
I am.
Okay.
I am. But my sister Bernie was born here, so her name's Bernadette.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she's 6 years younger. So again, my kids and her was a different time, you know. I remember my son used to wake up at 4 a.m. and she'd be over, and I'd say to her, "Can you just watch him for 5 minutes? I just need to take a quick nap."
You had no say in how many siblings you had. So it was funny when you said, "Yeah, I've got one, and that's enough." Like, it's not really up to you. You do realize that.
She's enough. I would say she's like having 5. Like, you never know what you're gonna get.
What do you mean?
No, she's just, my sister's a very different character to myself.
Right.
But the best
Just
thing,
highly strung.
yeah,
Because you seem like a more like chilled,
I'm so
relaxed.
chill compared to my sister, and a lot of the time they do think
Are
that
you
I'm younger.
Are you Ice Cube chill?
I am.
Hey.
I'm a super ghetto girl. Like, I grew up on the west side. West side for life. Yeah, so I grew up on that side. But my sister and I was kind of thinking about that on the way here. Like, my sister, we didn't click for a really long time. I think like she grew up like in emo phase, you know what I mean?
Oh.
Whereas I grew up with rap and hip hop.
Yeah.
When we talk about us as teenagers, I got up to a lot of different things to what she did, you know? So she had good friends, really like, you know, relaxed. But my sister now, she studied marine biology up in Warrnambool.
Right.
And so she came back with a very heavy accent, like Aussie accent. So she'll come in and like, it's my dad, my mom. We're at their house and "Oh, how's it going, guys?" And I'm like, and for me, like, I lived in New Zealand for 2 years. So then you know, hearing Aussie accent is very heavy sometimes.
Yeah, it's very heavy.
And the way she speaks is just very
Ochre.
That's the word. That is the word, because there's moments where I'm just like, can you hear yourself? Like, do you hear what you say? And she's like, yeah, what's wrong with it? And I'm like, oh my God, it is like, even the volume that it's at, you know, like I'm right here, but the volume is like.
She's purely just trying to communicate at the right tone and volume in comparison to the people that are around her.
I
and
know.
Potentially it's just in Warrnambool, that's how they talk.
Yeah.
And if you don't talk like that, you don't get heard.
Maybe. Yeah. I've met all her friends from there and they're amazing.
Mm.
I don't know how much studying my sister did up there though. I think it was more like a lot of partying, because that's all I heard about it.
Wow.
But yeah, no.
Don't you just love it when siblings like throw each other under the bus?
Oh, if she was here, I'm the first one to go under that bus.
Really?
Yeah. But it's like a love-hate kind of relationship.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah. But I do feel like she's the only one that gets my humor. Like,
Right.
we're the only ones that can just laugh our heads off on the dinner table. Like, it's you know, your drink spitting out of your mouth, like when you say something funny. And like, yeah, there's nothing that I wouldn't do for her. Like, she knows that. And, you know, we might not get along all the time. We might disagree on certain things, but the minute she's like, I need you to help me I'm there. Yeah.
What was your first rap or R&B artist that you like really listened to?
I grew up with a lot of Latinos.
Oh.
So our Latinos they loved, obviously like Cypress, but
Yeah.
I'm a Bone Thugs girl.
Oh.
I really, really love a lot of Bone Thugs. I think it's the fact that they can use like rapping, but they also kind of sing through their raps
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bone Thugs and Harmony. But I feel like for me, at this age now, I'm starting to realize that there's like some connection I have with music because I work with a lot of artists that are like musicians and stuff. Like I gravitate with them. A lot of my friends are singers and even dancers and things like that. And so like I'm trying to figure out what my connection is. I watch so many video clips. For me, that's where I get a lot of my inspo for photo shoots, you know, how the lighting hits on certain things, you know, clothing, styling, makeup. So much comes from things like that. But I'm a massive MJ fan too. Like MJ to me was everything, you know, literally. I know so many people have comments, but he literally was like, I was that little kid that used to put the video in the VCR, get ready to tape his new film clip that was coming out.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it was pretty big. He was massive.
Yeah, he was amazing. So
My first real kind of album that I got obsessed with was Ice Cube Predator.
yeah. You know, I've seen Ice Cube like twice now in concert.
Yeah.
He's amazing. He's great. He's put on weight, but he still gets it there. Like, yeah. I saw him this year or last year when they came with Cypress Hill. He came.
Yeah.
I've been to like 3 Snoop Dogg concerts.
Have you seen the stuff that that's with Snoop Dogg that's happening in the Olympics?
Yeah, I've been seeing a little bit of it. I'm like, is that a sold himself or like I'm not sure. Like,
I'm like, is this for real?
Yeah.
Or like, are you taking the piss?
I know.
But like, he's just living his best life.
He is. Why not? You're Snoop Dogg. You can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's great. I love all types of music. I try and go to like a lot of different gigs too. Like, you know, I have amazing friends that are DJs as well. So just, you know, I feel like that's where I get inspiration from.
Yeah.
You know, like hearing people's stories.
I was going to ask, where do you find your inspiration from? But it's music and music videos and subcultures.
I'd say it's that, yeah. I you know, there's moments where like personal experience as well is a big one for me where I get my inspiration from.
With like what's happening in your life, on a day-to-day perspective. Yeah.
So I took up like doing a lot of photo shoots for people. So I would put a lot of models would message me and be like, Paul, I want to work on a photo shoot with you. This is what I do. And so I'd put photo shoots together for them, including makeup, styling, hair, and I'd pick their photographer for them so that they would have it for their portfolios. And then I started realizing like the more I did that,
I'm getting the picture here because when I was a photographer, I never got picked. Oh, that's the wrong sound. Hang on.
That was an idea. I said recently.
Oh, recently. Hang on a minute. Hang on. Recently, okay.
I said recently.
All right, because I did retire like 9 weeks ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I gave up photography.
Why?
Because
you had amazing. I've seen your work. Your work's nice.
Yeah, thank you. I was it's 11 years. It's 11 years.
Yeah, but it's good stuff. Like, there's no. Is it like because it was work for you, or you felt like?
Nah, look, there's a couple of things. Like, I don't know, I guess I kind of didn't feel the passion
Inspired
around it. Yeah. Like I could still do it.
Of course.
And like those skills will never disappear. But it's kind of like I want to do other things. And then also there's like stuff that was happening like with my daughters and that will always take priority for me.
Yeah.
And so, I think a lot of and I got a lot of messages from people saying, "Hey, is everything all right?" Da, da, da. And
How beautiful is the community when it comes to that stuff? Though I
yeah,
think like there's
yeah,
a lot of people that
yeah,
understand it. You know.
that's right. And so I think it was like a bit of a shock when people were when people realized that I'd stopped. They're like, "Oh, something's happening, like something tragic." And let's just be clear: family comes first,
Oh, of course.
always.
Always.
And like when I have two daughters that are of teenage years,
Yeah.
like
It can be demanding. It can be like, yeah.
yeah, and so yeah, so and like I started like late last year, or probably around like September, October. I started doing interviews of people,
Yeah.
like after photo shoots, if you remember seeing
Yeah.
those. And the whole style of that was kind of a little bit like red carpet on the Oscars type thing, like tell us a little bit about
I
yourself.
did. Yeah. Yeah.
What are you wearing
Yeah.
today? Even though they're like wearing
Lingerie.
lingerie,
Yeah. I did see that one.
But I actually, the first couple, I actually hated. I hated it.
You didn't like them?
No, I didn't like me.
You didn't like you?
I didn't like me.
Of the questions you asked?
I could tell how nervous I was.
Yeah.
And I could tell that I just wasn't, I don't know, like, because I had this idea of what it would be like, and then I wasn't really meeting that expectation.
Okay.
And then doing the editing, I despised because we hate the sound of our own voice.
Yeah.
Because there's an anatomical reason for that. Our whole lives, we've listened to it in our inner ear as well as our outer ear. When we listen to it in our inner ear, our skull actually vibrates.
What?
And so we've been listening to that voice for like 40-something years.
Yeah.
Or like however long, however old you are. And then when you listen to a recording of yourself, you don't get that vibration and you don't get the listening from the inner ear. You only get it from the outer ear. So it sounds weird.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. So editing was really hard, but I'm the type of person who, if I know it's hard, that's not going to stop me from persevering and continuing on with it. Plus, I was wanting to like pursue a different purpose, a different goal.
Yeah.
And I could see that that's what I wanted to do. And then doing the interviews was like 4 or 5 minutes. And I thought, okay, well, I've got all the camera gear. I just need all the audio gear and I can set up a podcast.
That's so good.
So I started this podcast like middle of December.
I know. I think that and I think this is the beauty of it, is we can learn so much from each other. Like I think on our Instagrams especially, like I'll scroll on there and I'll see like the same trend, the same kind of photos being taken, the same models, but like nobody really talks about the process. And there's so much power in the process. There's so much, like this is why I did this and this is why I visualized it this way. And I think the more we talk about it, then others will be able to see it and be like, far out, that's how I do my work. Or that's how my thought process is similar to that. Or I haven't tried this before, I feel like I'm very much at a stage where I do not gatekeep anymore. Like I am willing to help, support a lot of people. I get phone calls pretty much daily asking me for like, Paula, how do I do this? And I want to speak to this person, but I don't know how. And should I message this agency? And, and sometimes I haven't even done the thing that they're asking me to do. But if I think about how I would do it, that's how I have told them,
That's so good.
Yeah, because what's the worst thing that can happen to you? They'll say no.
Yeah.
Boom. And does that stop you from living your life, from trying again? No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
100%.
And I think a lot of people And for a really long time, even myself, I got stuck in my head when it came to creative things. I had the fear of posting. I wasn't posting when I first became really, really like early on in my makeup stuff. I think I posted once every 3 months.
Do you want some
I'm
sparkling
okay.
water?
I
Okay,
have
all right.
tea. Like once every 3 months. And then it wasn't until I was in the car with one of my mates and he's like, "Hun, you're so good.
Yeah.
You're so good at your ideas and what you want to do, but like I show your work to people and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that. That's the same thing she posted 3 months ago." And so, there's just so much power in once you have your confidence. And I don't think it's spoken enough, but going to seminars, going to networking events,
Mm.
trying to understand why people do their branding or their social media type of way. I went to one and it just blew my mind. From
Mm.
that day on, I was literally like, if it's not now in my life, when am I going to do it? When I'm 60,
Mm.
you know, if
I mean, you could still do it when you're 60.
you could.
I was like, I love hearing that. I love hearing the fact that you just took the leap and like realized that, hey, you can post more than once every 3 months.
Yeah.
I used to get messages from people. They're like, what the fuck is going on? You're posting like so many times during the day.
Really?
And I'm like, yeah, like it's just like I just got the content. Like I just need to like pump this stuff out.
Yeah.
But I would go through phases where I do like 12 posts a day, and then some days I do nothing.
You'd get excited.
No, not so much get excited. It's just that like I just get busy, so I don't have time to like post.
Okay.
And
12's a lot though. Did you feel like it was a lot?
I was trying to do it like one every hour. Yeah, I do like one every hour, and and there were a lot of like theories about how to like influence the algorithm and blah 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 blah, like
yeah.
like all that type of bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is driven into trying to fit your approach into what is perceived as the way that the algorithm is going to work.
Yeah.
But I remember listening to Gary Vaynerchuk, and he was like, why are you only posting once a day?
Yeah.
You should be posting 16 times a day.
Wow.
On every single platform. Because the name of the game is attention. How are you going to get people's attention?
Yeah.
How are you going to get people's eyeballs looking at your posts? The easiest way is to post more.
Just keep reminding them. Keep popping up.
Just keep posting.
Yeah.
Just keep reminding them. So that was like my approach. And then towards the, I think maybe the middle of last year, a photographer mate of mine was like, hey, because he was part of, I don't know what you'd call it, like a mastermind, like Instagram group.
Yeah.
And they would always be like, oh, Instagram's coming out with our algorithm change or blah, 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 blah. This is what you need to do.
Yeah.
And like middle of last year, he was like, yeah, they're coming out with a change. You need to post as much as you can. And I'm like, dude, I've been doing that for like years.
That's all I do.
That's all I do. And then some days I wouldn't post anything because I had like 6 shoots during the day.
Yeah. Wow.
So
that's pretty good because I hear so many photographers where they get stuck in the editing phase, where that's all that happens to them, where they get excited. And then as they edit, they're like, I don't really like it. And then they just don't post it.
Yeah. I think you have to get to a point where you know your style.
Yeah.
And you're comfortable with your style.
Exactly.
And then I also got to a point where I was like, I really don't care what other people think.
100, yeah, 100%.
Like, I'm just going to post it,
Yeah.
you know?
That's
And
exactly where I'm at the moment as well. And I think like after, like I was saying, I went to that seminar, it just made me realize like I was really ahead of my time. Even when I was growing up, I was very different to a lot of people. Dress sense was very different. Even now, like, you know, my mom always tells me off. She's kind of like, you're not dressing your age, you know? Like you're
does
not,
that mean?
and then it's like, well, I don't feel like it, you know, or and it I think through clothes as well I express myself, I express how I feel, I express, you know,
What's dressing your age?
oh, you should come my house around Christmas time. You should see the presents I get
Oh,
of
really?
clothes that I should be wearing.
Wow.
I haven't worn it. It still has its tag on it, but
I
it's
mean,
just
look, I think again that's a generational thing, right?
yeah.
Like, our parents will always have this perceived idea of how things are meant to be, and that's all driven by the experiences that they had.
Yeah.
You know, our experiences and the way that we live our life is driven by what we've gone through.
100%.
You know,
Yeah.
like I wouldn't. I'm so thankful of like the childhood experiences and the life that I've had, but I wouldn't wish it on anybody
Yeah. Yeah.
because thinking back now, it was hard. It was hard being the most Asian looking sibling and being racially abused everywhere you went and, you know, either directly or indirectly.
And I swear kids can be so mean. Like
Yeah.
I remember in my like our time, I'm gonna say our time now. In our 20s. No. But like in our time, yeah. Just there was no thing about bullying. There was no, you know, let's talk nice to each other. Like, yeah. But like you said, I think those things is what makes us stronger, what makes us unique. Especially now in this time, a lot of people will say to me like, Paula, you're so confident. Like, how do you do it? Or how come you release certain events? And I just think to myself, like, yeah, like if I don't do it, no one's going to do it. And
Yeah.
if I can, why not? You know?
Yeah.
So, and it's not so much about, you know, going back to the posting thing. I feel like my fear of posting has changed because I really couldn't care less if I got like 5 likes compared to like, you know, thousands.
Why did you have a fear of posting?
Oh, because at that time, I compared myself so much. Being a makeup artist, you know, you kind of only go into like bridal if you're not getting the weddings. You know, I had no content. But I was pretty much the only kind of makeup artist in my class at the time that loved editorial stuff. So for me, it was always like colors, stencils, glitter, gems. I loved all that. So that's my signature. Those are my things that I use even when I do work now. And I did photo shoots for 8 years that were just editorial, very creative. And I think a lot of, you know, part of a makeup artist is to be able to do everything, you know, to be able to do bridal, but also be able to do colorful things. And like for me, it's the challenge, you know, like Slothy was like speaking to me yesterday. He sent me a water shoot. And I said to him, anything with water, with fire, like I am there, you know, because they're so, you know, they're so different. It's nice to be able to put different elements together.
And it's challenging.
It's the challenge.
Because you're pushing yourself outside of that comfort zone to go, let's see if this actually works.
Exactly. And I think it's the challenge. It's the challenge that I love about it. It's, yeah.
But I also understand that that's what kind of keeps people back as well from going outside their comfort zone because they're like,
I think
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot to do with experience as well. And there's either the people that can only move if they're in a group, or there's a person that can move and make moves when they're on their own. So you
Mm.
need to decide if you're that person that can do it all by yourself
Mm.
without relying on anybody,
Mm.
or you can only do it if your mate comes and he brings his mate. You're going to be waiting forever. You know what I mean? You're going to be waiting forever. Like, I have amazing photographer friends, and I'll be like, come with me. Let's go do this shoot in the city. I've got a model. Da, da, da. Oh, can this person and this person come? And then it's like, but I'm asking you because I like your work, you know? And I don't know if it's a comfort thing, if it's like you're only a photographer if you know you got those two guys with you or those three people with you.
I think, yeah, it could be a comfort thing, or it could be a, hey, I want to give other people an opportunity as
That
well.
too. That
you
too.
know,
Yeah.
which is kind of nice, but like at the same time, if you've gone out your way to organize everything else,
Yeah.
and you're looking for a specific photographer, like that should be enough.
Yeah.
You know.
But I think I think at the end of the day, it comes down to your self growth.
Mm.
You know, I think that there's a lot of things that I've learned over this time of being a single parent. Like, being alone isn't a bad thing. You get to learn so much about yourself. You get to have the freedom to be able to go to different things and again, knowledge, you know, you grow your own confidence. Like, for me, I don't wait for anybody. I literally, if my kids are good, I'm good. I don't wait for anybody to make decisions for me. If I feel like doing an event, I will roll and I will do an event. I'm a very intuitive person, spiritual person. So if things don't work out in my way, I'm like, it just wasn't meant to be. But I don't take it as in like it's a shock to my confidence or why things didn't go the way they did. I think to be able to pull yourself out of any situation, you know,
that comes with experience.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's
not taking things personally.
Yeah. But even for me, like, I'd say even in like my 8 years of experience working on shoots, being a makeup artist and things like that, the bad experiences are still good experiences. You know, they'll teach you amazing things. They'll teach you how not to do certain things, how not to do business with somebody. So any experience is still value.
You'll learn more from failures than you'll learn from successes.
Yeah.
And I think often people will forget that because they want to see like immediate success, like really fast.
Oh, yeah.
As opposed to, you know, like longevity, hard work, and like success and happiness over time. You know,
I think it's definitely, it's a really, really hard time now, especially on social media. I feel like people are not creating for themselves. They're creating for their ego. They're creating to get the likes. But I feel like when something is built on substance and just really, really, you know, is built with time, has a good foundation, you know, a lot of the kids now, they just want to quickly get there. They don't want to do the research, the, you know, attention to detail and how things work. They just want to get their account growing at a rapid rate, and it doesn't matter what it is, you know. So they'll release content that just doesn't make any sense, you know. So, but I guess like there's audiences for everything. And going back to why I'm not afraid to like post anymore is because, like I said, I think people who value what I have to say and what I have to share are my people. And that's what I prefer to have. I prefer to have people that understand or have a connection with me, whether you're a mom, whether you're a creative, whether you're trying to juggle everything. I think that's the beauty of it. And I think before, how I used to post was like I needed to be like everybody else.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes back to like what's in our DNA. And what's in our DNA is the fact that like in caveman days, we saw being part of the clan or being part of the tribe was um, a survival like factor,
Mm-hmm.
because if you didn't know your place in the tribe or you weren't contributing to something in the tribe, you were seen as an outsider and you slowly got pushed out. And then if you got pushed out of the tribe, you essentially die.
Yeah.
So we have this innate need to be a part of a group or part of, like a larger purpose. And when you come to realize that, like through your experiences, you have the skills to be on your own. You have the skills to be on your own and show others that they could do something different. You inadvertently create another tribe, or another group,
Yeah.
away from that first group,
Mm.
and that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's really hard now for people to see that being different is a great thing.
being a different is a great thing
Yeah.
because everybody is unique.
Yeah.
And everybody has some characteristics or value that they can add to everybody,
Exactly.
to the overall collective, and I think that's where I guess kind of this whole appreciate everybody for who they are, what they bring to it, be kind, all this type of stuff, because at the end of the day, we're all experiencing the exact same thing. And
How do you handle people that, like, in our community you realize that they're not doing things for the right reasons? Like, how are you with them? Like you meet them and then you're like, wow, I didn't think that person was going to be that way.
look, I guess actions speak louder than words.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll just observe and watch. And if I feel like it doesn't really align to my values, then I'll exit.
Yeah.
I don't want to cause anybody like duress or like stress in their lives, but and I'll never like confront someone and say, "Hey, what you're doing's not great," unless of course it's like really extremely bad.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I'll just like block and like exit.
Yeah. Like, it's not worth your energy.
It's not worth my energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody is. I also know that everybody's on their own journey, right? And like, if that's your journey, then that's your journey.
Yeah.
Like you've made your own decisions to do the things that you're doing, and if you're not going to, I guess, be self-aware of what's happening around you as a result of your actions, that's not on me to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Because I can't sit here and say, hey, Paula, you need to be more self-aware about what impact you're having. You're going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And so
it just doesn't give you the right, like nobody has the right to really, like you can, like you said, I'm very similar. I suss people. Like I will go to things and have a look and observe. But then I will kind of say, yep, not for me,
I'll suss people in different ways, and one of those ways, I guess, is my superpower.
Is it your gut? Like gut feeling?
No, it's even better than that.
What?
It's even better than that. So for a long time, I didn't know what this was or how I was supposed to use it. And then because of my 9-to-5 role, I kind of worked out that, and being so self-aware, I kind of picked up or developed a particular skill and then transferred that over to photography and was able to like use it to be able to get the right types of shots that I wanted to get, right? And so at a very young age, I've always been able to see people's auras.
What? That's so nice.
Yeah. But I never knew what it was, how to use it, like why.
What it actually meant.
Yeah,
as
what
well.
it actually meant,
Yeah.
right? So, so essentially, I've developed a bit of a skill in my communication style to be able to influence people's auras and people's energies to be able to get the outcome that I'm looking for.
So what energy did I have when I came in?
You've got a very balanced, like people orientated like energy.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and for me that I guess that color is like very blue, you know. And so when someone would like come for a photo shoot, like I can see what color it is. It could be multicolored, it could be multi-shaped, it could be big, it could be small. And so for me it's about how do I influence that aura to make them comfortable to be able to get the vibe of what we're looking to achieve.
And that's a massive skill in itself.
Yeah.
I don't know, do you get like after it, would you get kind of deflated? Like you feel like your energy's kind of
drained.
Yeah.
Completely drained. And so and I used to be okay with like large groups of people. I'm not so good with large groups of people anymore. Yeah.
Because we're 20, you know? Because we're 20 and we've lived a long life. That's why we feel that way.
Yeah. But I have developed the ability to kind of like turn it off and like ignore it. But every now and then it kind of like creeps up on me and like drains me a little bit.
I'm very similar. I think it's a beautiful skill to have, but I think being a makeup artist for so long, I'd have days where I'd have 5 people in my chair, 5 to 8 different people in my chair. And
sitting on top of each other. This is an amazing chair.
So I'd have back-to-back clients where it was like, and it's a constant, so how are you? What brings you here today? How you feeling? And it's like that conversation.
Yeah. On repeat.
Yeah. Or sometimes it would be, I think maybe on my 4th client, my battery's running a little bit low. And then I'd be like, so tell me about yourself and how do you know the bride and da-da-da. And then they'd tell me these stories. The amount of stories I've heard in that chair, like they could tell me they murdered somebody. I'd be like, oh, really? Like, just doing their...
I'm about to murder you.
It's amazing things that people share with you in that. And that's what I mean. Like, I think doing it for so long, I'd come home and I just felt no energy whatsoever.
People would share stuff with me as well. Like I was a photographer, I was a life coach, I was a nutritionist, I was a gym instructor, I was
that's the thing
counselor.
that people don't realize. I feel like when you work with a creative, or even now, like people will be like, I don't want to pay that much for a shoot. And no. My job is not solely just to create a shoot for you. My job is to make sure that you feel comfortable on set.
Yeah, 100%.
I have to be your assistant. I have to make sure that I look after my clients. I'll give them food. We have a good chat. I get to know them. What's their brand about? I build around them. So it's not just, I'm putting a shoot together. No, I'm looking after you. I'm making sure that you have a good experience. And it's really hard to give that to some people sometimes, or people that can be very closed off as well. So that takes extra strength and extra energy to give, to try and break down that barrier of, okay, like I want you to feel comfortable and da-da-da. I don't know if you feel like that on your shoots, but
100%.
the kind of first
100%.
10, 15 minutes is just like a little bit icy cold, and then, they warm into it a little bit.
it can be
Yeah.
with particular like clients or models,
Yeah.
but then it can go the other way as well. Like they're too high energy. And so, whoa, I got to like calm this stuff
Yeah.
down, So I start talking a little bit softer. So they reduce their volume and like all this type of stuff. So I was very much the same.
Yeah.
My number one principle with all of it was that people will always remember you based on the way you made them feel. So if I wasn't getting a good feeling from them that they were enjoying their shoot, I would like crack a joke, or I'd show more facial expressions, or like kind of.
And I think that's something that makes a great photographer. It's not just the photo. It really isn't. It's what it. I've worked with so many, some that wouldn't even speak, taking photos and move your hand here, and it's just this awkward feeling on set. Some wouldn't even speak English in some, so I'm talking I'm talking from like when I started. So I've worked with, I'd say, over 30 to 40 different photographers, and you got to see like the difference in their style, and posing's a massive one. Like you do, I do kind of thing. Like if you don't know your poses very well, like it's very hard. And so that's where I started getting these skills of like, okay, I know you're in your head right now. Let's try something different. Or, hair I always fix, outfit I fix properly. I stand with them and I kind of coach with them and with posing. But again, I've got into that point now where I work with probably like two main photographers that I have. We have a really good understanding and style. So I feel like, I trust them, they trust me. We get the best out of the model. But it was probably at the start of this year, I took up a job, which was for a plus size model. And then it was the first time I actually realized how much they actually go through. And as much as I would be like, get out of your head, I was so in my head that day.
As in like emotionally, or like?
It was a bit of everything. I think considering it was like my first time modeling, there was other women in the room, and
Hang on. So you were the model?
Yeah, I did a shoot.
Oh.
Yeah. So the first time at 20 years old, I decided to do that. But, I went and it was the lady actually wanted me to do makeup for it, but her plus size model cancelled on her. And I was like, I'll do it. And it was a day where I had to try on like 12 wedding dresses. And they were heavy, and I'm pretty tall already, but they had me in like massive heels, running up and down like a hill. Like,
that's hectic for anybody.
It was hectic. I've never stood in a spot and just with these massive heels trying to hold your balance in this heavy dress as well.
I used to be crowd control, like security, so you'd have to like stand in the same spot, but I don't own a pair of heels.
Yeah. Just in case. I'll get you some for your birthday.
Fuck. Size 13?
Yeah, they do them. But yeah, and it was just I did a whole post about it. I was like, I just want to say thank you to all, like, give flowers to my models and all my friends that I know that make this look so easy and so effortless. While balancing on heels and trying on so many outfits. And
what made you decide to throw your hat in the ring and be like, yeah, I can do this for you?
I think it's a confidence thing again. I think it's just, and again, it's helping. Like I wanted to help her. I did a lot. Like I managed models for a little bit. I went to jobs with them. So I didn't feel like I didn't know what I was doing. And, working with so many models, I was like, yeah, I can do it. Like, it's okay. But once I did it, it was very hard. And then when you get the photos out, like this particular people, they took over, I think, 4,000 photos. And so I was able to go through and look at all these images, but they never asked me which ones they were going to release, which ones they didn't. And so they're all on socials. And some I'm like, oh, I look okay. And in some I look bigger than what I actually am as well. So it was just a lot of, again, how you get used to seeing yourself, you know, and I wasn't used to seeing myself. This year I had to do a reel for like one of my seminars. So I had to video myself, and I didn't even know I had like these little dimples when I speak. Like I didn't know, and it was just because I haven't had to do that, you know. But I feel like now where I'm at, it's my branding and my marketing is calling for me to have to step up and step out of my comfort zone. So
what seminar is this?
At the start of this year, I ran a seminar that was for models. I was pretty much to teach them about TFPs, working with photographers, what portfolio work looks like, and the red flags that you could find on set. So I just saw a lot. I saw a lot of things happen, especially while I was managing. And I think when models are starting out, they just say yes to everything. Or as creatives are starting out, they say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And there's no thought about, okay, what happens with the photos once they're out? How, you know, models don't get roles and things. So like social media as well is the first thing that people write on, like, oh, I didn't get my photos, don't work with this person. And it can be very damaging to so many people just because they're not informed. And safety was a big one. I, you know, saw a lot of issues with models where they'd thin already be told that they're chubby, or that, you know, they got scars, or that you know, they don't look well. I went to a video shoot and they had like 8 different models dancing, and they put one in a mask because she wasn't as good looking as the rest.
Huh?
Yeah. So there's just
That's so weird.
And imagine her, like, all the other models are like, why are you wearing that mask for, you know? And it's just like, oh, because they asked me to. And how much are you getting paid? $40 per hour? So I talk a lot about, like, finding the value in things. Like, when I started off, the value was to do things for free, but I got to work on different type of faces. And that was giving me value in experience. So here, when I say find the value in things, it's find the value in, are you working with a great photographer, or are you working with a great brand? You know, is it giving you experience? You know, things like that. But to go in there and say, I'll do it for free, or, you know, great models that have amazing portfolios but doing things for free, it's got to be a balance of doing your self-work.
Correct.
You know, finding your self-work and your confidence and knowing what you're worth. Understanding your branding as well is a big one. And then cutting it off where, like, okay, where do I cut off? It's for experience now, you know, especially when you've been doing it for so long. So a lot of the models that worked with me, I made sure they got paid. But the beauty of them working with me was I was on set all the time. So if anything ever happened, it was, you need to speak with me first. But it was horrible. Yeah, it was a lot of things. But again, I think it just comes down to knowledge. I think it comes down to, like, how informed are you on certain things?
How informed, knowledge, experience.
Yeah.
You know, I think anything to do with the creative space, if you're self-taught, then you have to go through a journey of self-discovery of yourself, but also self-discovery of discovery of, like, the industry and the environment. And so doing TFP is good if you're gonna be able to learn something from it.
Exactly.
You know, or learn something about yourself.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to learn that you really like that genre or you don't like that genre, then that's a good thing.
Mm.
If you're going to learn more about what that photographer or makeup artist does, you know, on the regular, then that's, you know, yeah.
Yeah. So my seminar was based around that.
Okay.
It was just I found an amazing space in St Kilda, and we had a lot of new models, and it was great because like a few weeks after, like one model in particular, she booked like 2 jobs from it, and it was just giving them the confidence, you know, to be like, okay, like now I know what I need to do, like just equipped. They're very equipped now.
So you're still running seminars?
I might be running that one again next year.
Mm.
But I think like where we fail, and this is what I was saying, like we don't talk about it enough, is as a creative, the the behind the scene stuff that you need to be doing as a creative, which is like, you know, learning about, you know, your branding, self-awareness, your confidence, you know, even if it's meditative, like meditation, because I feel like they go hand in hand because, you know, when we run projects, I feel like as a creative, we put everything into it, you know, because it's coming from us. It's personal. It's we build it personally. That once the event's done, we go flat and we kind of feel like, okay, so what else am I going to do now, you know? Because it is a part of us. We've given that away now. We've worked all this hard, you know, time in putting all the elements together, and it's now finished. What's the next best thing? So during that seminar, I realized like a lot of us are missing connection, which is like getting to talk with other creatives, other people. So from that seminar, a lot of people started following each other. The models now, they all kind of like one of them might post something, and then I see all of them posting underneath, like commenting. It's just really beautiful support. And this one day I was driving and I was like, you know what? I know amazing people. Like I have amazing friends. And I thought to myself, it'd be amazing to have a party with my friends. And how could I put them all in one room? And so I'm running now in September a women's networking event where I invite all my friends and we're just going to network, have amazing food, drinks. I'll have a photographer there and he's going to be doing like branding photos for them, because a lot of startups don't invest in a photo shoot straight away.
Yeah.
And, you know, they need good photos. So I'll have him there. But I've been wanting to do that more. Like I feel like my purpose at the moment is kind of on that, of how to build support. And I think there's an amazing sense of support when you know who's behind the business, you know. I've met so many people when like I finally get to meet who the brand owner is, and I'm like, oh my God, he's so cool, and and he posts something, and I know how hard it would have been for him to create that jumper or create those t-shirts, or how much money he really doesn't have for those t-shirts, but he's doing it anyway. Like you have a sense of love for that person. You like want to see them win, you know?
And it sounds like it's this creating this community that is supporting for each other, but like supporting not only with what is being done today, but like for the future.
Yeah.
You know, and if anything, that then just builds that longevity
Exactly.
of creatives.
Yeah.
And what people like want to do.
Yeah.
You know.
So I feel like now we've lost that because a lot of us are scrolling, a lot of us just like and comment here and there. But when you actually know the person, even when I meet certain photographers and stuff, like you build another level of, you know, connection with them, and you love their photos a little bit more, or they'll send you their photos before they've posted them. What do you reckon? You know, and it's really nice. So that's my event. I'm hoping, we just did the photo shoot for it, which is great. I have like amazing people in it from different, you know, from fashion designers to, hairstylists, just a lot of people that I've been able to or blessed to have worked with, you know.
Yeah, that's so great.
yeah, so I'm going to do that. I still want to run one that's just for creatives, which would be like, I keep talking about it, but it's called like the exhibit. So I'd love for it to just be
Exclusive.
I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm hoping. The idea I had was to do like podcasting as well during the exhibit, but like to.
I know a good podcaster that.
So we'll talk. He said it. Yeah, he said it.
Yeah. I'll do a TFP.
So it's pretty much all and any type of creative
Yeah.
that wants to come. And so I was going to have like a poster with a little QR code for each, if it's a model, if it's a florist, and then have my friends that have fashion or do apparel to have little stalls there as well. I have, again, a lot of like musicians that I know, so they would perform during the exhibit. So the place that I've been working with a lot is called the Yoga Gallery in St Kilda. My friend Neha works there, and she's just amazing. The space that she's created there, it's very much how art and music can heal. So that's the main motto is how we are able to create those spaces for people. So I've been very influenced by her to be able to create these kind of events of just, you know, support and community.
But then also acknowledge the fact that it's a healing approach as well.
Exactly.
You know, I think I saw someone, I can't remember who it was, they were talking about how creatives creating art is all about a healing process within ourselves.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to create something that's like outside of the ordinary, because you don't know who that will resonate with.
100%.
And resonate with from the point of view of potentially they didn't realize that would resonate with them.
Yeah.
So they haven't gone and created something like that. Or maybe they're not creatively, you know, inept and haven't taken an initiative to actually go down that path. So this whole piece around the arts, like, I think it'll always be there.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be about a message of like love, support, healing, you know, working through things and like sharing those experiences.
Yeah. So I definitely think that those things go hand in hand, and the more I spend time there, the more I realize, like, as creatives and as artists, I think it's okay some days that we're not okay. You know what I mean? I think it's okay that one day, some days we don't have it in the bag all the time, you know, and that we're not always going to feel creative, you know. I can't switch it on. And there's moments where I start thinking, I got really sick, I think in June with my kids. And I kept thinking, like, what's my next thing? Like, why hasn't anything sparked in me? Like, why haven't I got the next best thing that I'm supposed to be working on, you know? Like, and it was a mixture of things, because one, I was sick. I wasn't feeling the best. My body just felt really like down, unmotivated. I was spending a lot of time in my home. So I think as creatives, it's okay for us to say, you know, like, we have good days and we have bad days. And I think to expect so much from us to constantly be creative, you know, because it is kind of like our air, you know, it's how we express. It's something that we are passionate about, that we love. And so when we can't do that, we're kind of like, okay, what's happening? Like, why isn't it working? You know?
I think it's almost like with everybody, really.
Of course.
It's like every human being, we need to just take a chill pill just relax in the fact that, you know what? No one's perfect.
Exactly.
No one is going to be on point every single day. you
But
know.
the thing that happens is people see it on social media. Like, oh,
Yeah.
that person seems to always be posting and always having, like, I need to be like that.
Mm.
But nobody talks about like the hard days when you
Yeah.
don't have it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think with the yoga place, she's starting to show that to
Mm.
people. Like,
Mm.
or create, certain classes. Like she has journaling classes. I think that's on a Wednesday. On a Thursday, she does like mini painting, sessions. And it's just being able to explore feelings, to be able to explore where you're at.
Mm.
And I think there's a beauty in painting. Like once you're painting, your mind just wanders, and
Mm.
you get to just, and I think we don't do it enough. Everything has to be logical a lot of the time. So,
Yeah. Um, so I'm actually going through something right now,
mm-hmm,
and I've been going through it for a while,
mm-hmm,
but it's all kind of like it has all been coming to a peak. And I think the first step is like acknowledging that like it's okay to be not okay,
100%. Yeah.
and then working out like what are the steps that you need to take
Yeah.
to kind of like work through it. And yeah, like so next week I'm going and talking to someone for the first time.
Wow. Yeah. I know how hard those things are. Trust me. I know how hard.
And like I'm
It's because you have to revisit that.
yeah,
Is the toughest.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm really scared.
But it's like I had something similar at the start of this year, and I did a story about it. Once I split up from my ex, I kind of went into a flight mode where it was just really like, let's just try get your life back to what it's supposed to look like with your kids. And I was scared because I hadn't lived by myself ever. And so I put it all, whatever I felt, whatever I was going through, in a box. And it lives in the back of my mind somewhere. But I started realizing at the start of this year, like I need to attack that box because it's stopping me from progressing. It's stopping me from really seeing people, and it kept coming up. Like you need to deal with that box. You need to deal with that box. So I started going to the yoga place, and I did classes on behavior, on traumas, on triggers. That personally, I don't think I ever would have taken, but I think, like I always say, like there's always power in knowledge and knowing how other people are. Maybe there's more understanding in it, but it made me, as scared as I was, it made me realize like I'm at a really good place to be able to tackle that. I must be really strong right now to be able to want to look at that box. So I think it's amazing that you're willing to do that right now. As hard as it is, I think you're in a beautiful place to be able to feel comfortable to do that,
Yeah, yeah. And look, I think it's also a piece of acknowledging that like I spend a lot of time like helping other people. Like this podcast, for example, right? This podcast is all driven about me uncovering other people's stories and getting your message out.
Yeah.
But then acknowledging the fact that shit, like I need to like look after myself as well.
All the time.
And I do, but like, I'm like tackling that box that's in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And really kind of like working through to make sure that it doesn't impact other parts of my life.
Of course. And I think that's the biggest motivator, like you start realizing like I can't do certain things because I haven't dealt with that, so but I think it's also looking at how far you've come and the support you have makes it so much better. And you never know, like this whole podcast, as much as you're doing it for us, could also be for you where you're like, I actually thought of this thing today talking with this person,
100%.
Yeah.
This is serves multiple purposes,
Yeah.
but I do know that one of those purposes is that it's cathartic for me
Mm.
because I'm like, talking and I'm learning about you, but I'm also
Yeah.
opening myself up
Yeah.
and like I'm, you know, constantly volunteering information about
Yeah.
myself, and I get messages from people saying, "Oh, I didn't realize that about you. We need to do a podcast on you." And I'm like, "Yeah, like,
I reckon you're a cool character. Why not? Why not?
it's been very colorful. There are so many colors in there." I'm like, and then some people are like, you should fucking write a book, like, and then turn it into a movie.
I think I think we get nervous about talking about ourselves, like where do you come from and how much am I able to talk about myself, without it seeming like,
Yeah,
and I think that's
without it seeming too arrogant.
yeah. No, honestly, like I was driving here and I thought he's gonna ask me this. I don't want it to be too long and I don't want but I think like, yeah, you just gotta treat it like,
Yeah,
having a beautiful conversation.
yeah,
Just seeing how we go, flow.
yeah, exactly.
Um, but I also think when it comes to things about healing and how things, constantly come up for you, I feel like it's a deeper meaning as well. Like sometimes it's your heart that's calling for you to fix it, and it's your own self asking you to help yourself, so, and you owe it to you, so.
Yes, I do. I do also think the piece around things have deeper meaning, particularly with the stuff that's like on social media and stuff like that. People don't realize the deeper meaning to things, or like the
Oh,
way that things are done, or like,
I my last photo that I did is the highest likes that I've gotten on any of my photos. I got like 1,000 and something.
mm,
But they don't realize that as hot as that photo is, it's a personal photo for me because it's the photo that I have, and it's my model Selena. She's standing and she's got her partner behind her, but he's holding her breasts,
mm-hmm,
and she's got like a CEO kind of tie and the little
I've
cuffs.
seen the photo. Yep.
I actually dreamt of that at 3 a.m. I woke up and I had just that kind of visual in my mind. And it was just because during that whole kind of few months, I was working on a lot of photo shoots and I was surrounded by men, like just the videographer, the studio owner was a male, the photographer was a male, but I did everything. Like I put all the details together and, fashion, makeup, hair, style, the model, where we were shooting, what the theme was, but I had them with me. So for a long time I kept thinking like I'm the only female at the table, like I'm the only hi buddy.
That's Larry.
Like I'm the only female. So I went to bed, I had a dream of some sort, and then I woke up and I saw that same visual that the photo is. But what people don't know is as much as that's they're all they all have meaning. So her being naked is how in art we show vulnerability. And then her little snippets of having, the
Cuffs
the
and
cuffs
the
and stuff is
tie
her
and-
being a boss.
Yeah.
Her partner holding her is trying to control her, and the actual stand is from Frida Kahlo because I did a lot of, she's like one of my favorite artists, but she's got a very strong painting when she broke her colon. And it's the same stand and she's like that with all little pins. And the holding as well is from a Janet Jackson album. So they all have little things that brought it together and made it this amazing photo that it is. But a lot of people will look at it and be like, that's a sick photo. Oh my God, Paula, you're on you're on a next level of, but I think when you create with purpose and you create with a vision, it sets you apart already from everybody else. Like nobody can copy your photos, nobody can copy your style. And I think that took me a really long time as well to understand.
I love how you just described there the different aspects of the photo and where it came from
Yeah.
and the merging of all of them. As creatives, there's no reason why you can't take characteristics or aspects of other people's work and combine lots of aspects together to then make it your own.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the greatest thing I found about the creative space is that you are the possibilities are literally endless.
Yeah.
It's working through the barriers and the roadblocks in your own mind as to what's limiting you.
Yes.
You know,
because all those elements probably couldn't have worked. You know, like they're all different genres, they're all different times. But for some reason, it was how it was in my mind. And the beauty of it was like when I went to shoot it, I had first time I worked with EB, which was Ethan. I hadn't met him yet. And I got to the thing and I said to him, this is how and I explained it to him. And I had done like a mini mood board of what it was. But I was like, that's how I kind of see it in my head. And I'm a little bit like stubborn when it comes to those things because what I see in my head, I really, really try and create. And he was like, yeah, that's okay. So we kept taking it. It was the same stand. Color was off. The lighting was off. And I'm like, it's not the one. And he's like, how about now? Nah, we got to try again. I'll move the light back here. And he was like, now? And I was like, it's just not the one. You know, like I want to look at my photo and be like, oh my God, that's amazing. I need a feeling. A lot of my things that I do needs to give me a feeling. And so he took it and then it got pretty close. I was like, okay, and he goes, do you mind if I have a bit of a go with it? And I was like, yeah. So he ends up taking a photo, shows me, he goes, how about now? And I was like, like, that's all I could do. And I looked at him and I was like, that's the shot. And I think at that moment is when I realized, like, as good as I am in certain things, I need to trust other people are fantastic in what they do as well. And I think that makes the beautiful partnership.
Sometimes that's hard though.
It is.
Because if you've got a vision in your own mind.
But I'm grateful that he was able to show me. You know what I mean? That he was able to go, we'll try it your way. And imagine as a photographer, like being told, this is how I see it in my head. This is how I see it in my head. And not having the freedom to do it the way would work. So I'm grateful for the experience I had with him because he showed great patience with me.
Taught you something.
Yeah. And I was able to go. And that was my first meeting with him, which I probably don't get to that comfortability with somebody until I've worked a little bit longer with them. But he was like, yeah, no, it's fine. He was great. And he gives a beautiful, I always talk about the shine in his photos, but he gives just a beautiful tastefulness to like, you know, sexy and stuff. And I love it. I absolutely love his photos. I love anything different. And if it's executed well, but I think that only happens when people have like a particular style.
Yeah.
When they are set on their style and they do it so well, wow, it's like
amazing.
Amazing.
Plus it's the combination of everybody that's involved in the shoot, you know.
Yeah.
Like model, hair and makeup, like photographer, like assistants if you have the assistants there, like
just anything to help it run smoothly. And I think again, people don't realize how hard that is sometimes, and to have like all the elements done. And I think once I started working with people that allowed me to have that kind of reign on certain things, then when I would go to other photo shoots and I would see them take so much time to do like things, I'm like, oh my God, like I couldn't handle it. I'd do them, but I'd be like, okay, my person would have taken that photo by now. And I think it just comes down again to the confidence of how far and stuff you can do. But
what advice would you give your younger self?
Um,
Oh, Larry, buddy.
Hi, Liza. Um, for me, I would definitely say I would have traveled a lot more.
Mm.
I would have traveled so much more. I think, again, we're talking about the cultural side of things, but I think there was a massive, not rush, but this urgency to find the love of your life at like 18 and settle down and I'm serious. But I'm saying like to date for a really long time, get married, get your home. And so I was in really long relationships
Mm.
and I didn't travel.
Mm.
Whereas in now having my son, and my son, I can tell he's going to be good looking when he gets to a certain age. Like he already told me he's had girlfriends and I didn't even know that. I was not happy when I found out.
Right. How old is he
My
again?
son's 10. Yeah. So, but I want to be able to say to my son, like, travel, because you're going to get stuck.
Mm.
You're going to you're going to do high school. Then after high school, you're going to studying. And then from studying, you're going to your full-time work. And like, when are you going to experience life?
Mm.
When are you going to experience the actual thing that's going to make you happy? I feel like the first time I ever traveled was when I was 18. First time I ever went on an aeroplane was when I was 18 and we went to Chile for 3 months.
Mm.
And you just come back with a better perspective. You have fuel, you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I know what career I want. You get to see what it's like to live in a different side of the world and realize how many beautiful things you have here.
But Paula, your son might be a homebody.
I'm going to kick him. I'm going to kick his ass and be like, no, you have to. Nah, he's.
Child Protection Services.
It's love. Okay.
Yeah, it is love. It is love. No, I totally get that. I think traveling does give you different perspectives, and traveling makes you wiser,
Yeah.
particularly around your own capabilities.
Yeah.
Like you, not only do you get to experience like other countries or other places and other people, you then are very humbled in remembering what you have when you come back home.
Yeah.
And that humbling experience. It's not that it's a forced experience. It may not come when you're traveling. It may come 6 months after you come home. You'd be like, oh, I remember that time I was in Vietnam and I was like seeing these people. I was like thinking, how good we have it in Australia. Like we have these things called supermarkets where you can buy stuff at. And like in the village in Vietnam, they didn't have that.
Yeah.
Like it's that type of stuff when I say is like humbling.
It's eye-opening for sure.
Yeah. And, for me, like growing up in Southeast Asia, like going to Indonesia and going to all these third world countries in Asia, like on holidays, and it's very humbling. And then, you get an appreciation of not only the people, but like where you are. And then to come to Australia and have racism thrown in your face, you're kind of like, oh, like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
But then even then, like in Asia, because I was 6 foot at age 12.
What? Yeah, you are actually really tall.
Like people, like you could, I stuck out like a sore
Yeah,
thumb.
they
Like
know straight away.
everywhere.
They know straight away
My
you're not from there.
my uncle, my mum's brother, took me to my first nightclub at age 11 because I was mixed blood, and he was like, "Don't worry, you get in."
They probably thought you were famous. Wow.
Yeah. Like
Oh, that's a good story.
yeah, it was quite funny, but Okay. So travel.
Yeah, travel for me, I just think because
Just
now
travel
I'm in a
more.
place
Yeah.
where that one of the main things that I want to do is travel. But obviously I can't because, my kids are still little.
Mm.
Hopefully when they get older, I'll be able to do that with them. But that's one of the things that, I didn't get to do as much. I mean, I lived in New Zealand for about 2 years and then, Chile as well. I got to do Rome, which was amazing for me.
Mm.
Which was like on the bucket list.
What happens in Rome stays in Rome.
No, I actually went with my mom and my sister.
Boom, chicka, wow, wow. Oh, your mum and your sister.
I went with my mom and my
Oh,
sister.
okay,
Yeah, it
okay,
wasn't
okay.
like because we went there and we stayed like a week there, and then we went to Chile from there for
Yeah.
another 2-3 weeks, I think. But in year 9, I just remember seeing the Sistine Chapel in art class, and for me that was just the most stunning thing I've ever seen in my life. I
Yeah.
literally had a moment where I was like, I'm gonna go there one day.
Yeah.
And then at 25, I went through a breakup, and then my mum was like, let's just go to Rome. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, let's just go. And my sister came with us and we went, and we got to do the Sistine Chapel. We got to do like all the Colosseum and all that.
Mm.
But it is beautiful and the food's amazing. Fashion's beautiful there. It's just it almost feels like you're in a different world when you go to different countries. And so I want my kids to experience that. I'd never want them to feel like you got to hurry up and find your person and, get a good job and settle down,
Yeah.
I feel like we've got so much of our life to be able to do that. And I also feel like as a person, we change 3-4 times in a lifetime, from being a teenager to figuring out what we want to do to then being in a relationship with somebody, you then change again to when you become a parent, you change again. And, the things that you value change as well. So I really just want him to have that time to himself.
Yeah.
And just travel and experience life. And then come back and go, boom, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And have it clear. So that's what I hope for. With my kids, I'm pretty easy. My son's like MJ would say, a lover, not a fighter. He's he's a really good kid, very emotionally intelligent. My daughter, on the other hand, is a bit of a sassy little thing. She will be the karma in my life, I think. She will be the one
All those things that you thought you get away with, Mum. Now I'm going to put you through that exact same thing.
She'll be that. She's a very strong character.
I'm sure she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got lots to look up to with you.
She's a very strong character. So I think with my kids, they'll, I was saying, I'm pretty easy with them. I'm not, I'm really chill with them too. It's really funny. I'll get my son haircuts and then I'm like, do you feel like getting an earring? And he's like, no, Mum. And I'm like, you don't want an earring? Yeah. Whereas my dad would have killed me if I ever said that. I remember on my 16th birthday, I got a nose ring. And it was my birthday. And it was my own. My mum knew about it.
Yeah.
But I hadn't told my dad.
Yeah.
I copped the silent treatment for a good week.
Shit.
Yeah, he didn't even say happy birthday to me.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was because I had a lot of Asian friends growing up, and they had so many earrings, in one ear. I had a friend that had probably 10.
That's because they're home jobs.
Yeah, they would take me to these.
I'm kidding.
No, you're not, because they would take me to the pharmacy with this lady that just didn't need the consent, and would do it in Footscray. It was so bad.
That is funny. So we've spoken a little bit about what you've got going on for the rest of the year, like more shoots and holding this women's networking event. Anything else planned for the year?
No, I think that's a lot. I came from just probably getting to know my confidence last year to this year, running almost 2-3 events. I think I think as we go, like, yeah, I just want to do things that are of purpose. Right now that's where I'm sitting at. It's just if I can help people, that's the main as well. But
Yeah.
things that uplift me too, like things that I'm motivated about. Um, but we are I'm looking at maybe working with a photographer where we get our own space and do more photo shoots from our own place. Having kids and being a single mom, like I have to find a lot of jobs that are around them just for now as they're
Yeah,
this little,
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so
You do what you
I
can
do.
around what support you have to give them
Yeah.
versus being able to do the creative stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, your kids come first.
Mm.
There's times where I have my kids on the weekends and I'll take them with me to a shoot because I want them to see. I want them to understand the creative side, the art side of things. I feel like for me, when I was growing up, art and being a creative wasn't seen as somebody of not of value, but like a person that didn't do well in school, and it was, and so I want my kids to see what it looks like, what we do, how cool. When I put up stories of what I'm working on, I get so many messages like, that looks so sick. What are you doing? What are you working on? What's that car? And we have a really cool job. Like our jobs and the projects that we get to work on, they're not the same every day.
Yeah, that's right.
And the people we get to work with. So I'm hoping for something like that where, I have to say so many times no to certain jobs just because they don't sit within the time frames of like me having to pick up my kids and be with them. And it's funny because like a lot of the mums at my son's school, my kids' school will be like, we follow you. Like they do follow me, but they're like, you're releasing an event soon. You look so good. But I'm standing there in like trackies and a mum bun, no makeup. And I'm like, see this Paula, this is what you get. This is the real one, which is me being like really just chill, jumper, blah, blah. But this is like when I'm in work mode, and you do that. So
yeah,
I'm like, but you guys see me every day and I don't look like that. So, it goes to show when you put a little bit of more time. But yeah, and they're like, we love everything you're doing. A lot of my aunts as well, they look at my work and they're like, you just seem so vibrant, and it's a good place to be in because I feel like there's a lot of people that stay in relationships where they're undervalued and it can be toxic and blah, 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 but they just stay because they're comfortable. And I think when I first got out of my relationship, a lot of people were like, oh, poor Paula, or I'd feel shy to go to certain things because they'd kind of think of me like, oh, that poor thing, like her relationship didn't work out. But now they actually look at my stuff and they're like, you look amazing, you're doing great. And, and I think it's shifting the mentality of certain people to think that you can't do it by yourself, but you can, you're more than able to. And I think you only grow as good as your environment is. And I wasn't growing where I was. I think I always wanted to be this person and be this vibrant and be able to create the things that I did or that I do, but I couldn't where I was before.
Yeah.
Whereas now I don't have to double check with anybody. If I want to do it, I just do it. And I'm a happier mum for it and I'm a happier creative for it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Ba-da.
Well, thank you so much
No,
for
thank
coming
you.
along.
No, I appreciate you so much.
How can people get in contact with you for either this event or
so the event will be launching this week and you can either follow me on Instagram, which I'm sure you'll put in our post, but it is Paula Cortes _MUA. And please also follow the Artful Yoga Gallery as well, because we are linked and we'll have the same kind of promos going for it. And we're always it's good for your mental health regardless.
Yeah.
So it's good to just follow them. And yeah, that's where you will find me mostly.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
An hour and 52 minutes.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I gotta go.
Oh, shit. Thanks, everyone, for
Thank
listening
you.
in. Make sure you hit subscribe and that notification bell and catch you guys all in the next one. See ya.